Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading vlog where I'm gonna be reading the second part of the Robert Hunter series. So last week's video was the first part of this series, which is a 14-book mystery thriller series. And so since it has 14 books, I decided to do 7 books plus 7 books because 14 books in one video is way too many books. And so this is the second part, like I said, and I'm gonna be reading from book 7 to book 13 because the first one is actually a novella, so like book 0.5, and so the first video is like the from book 0.5 to book 6, and this second video is from book 7 to book 13. And I'm gonna be linking the first video in the description and also up there if you haven't watched that one and want to watch it before part 2. And yeah, this is, like I said, a mystery thriller series that is like pretty gruesome, pretty gory, pretty violent. And we follow a detective, a homicide detective called Robert Hunter and his partner Garcia as they, investigate cases of serial killers that are, like I said, very violent. They actually work for the ultra violent crime something. So that says it all. And yeah, I absolutely love the first half of the series, and we'll see if I continue to love the second half of the series. And there are no spoilers. I just talk about the synopsis and what happens in the beginning of the book, and then I just talk about my thoughts about these books. And yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so I have actually read the whole book, the 7th book called I Am Death, and I read the whole book in a day. So yeah, I didn't update like halfway or anything because I literally read the whole book in a day. And so in this one, Hunter goes back to his usual place of work. So Garcia is there, which is great because I really missed him in the previous book. And in the beginning of this book, we see a young woman who is like babysitting, and then someone invades the house and she's abducted, and then she's later found dead, like her body like positioned kind of like a star. And there is a message left on the victim that reads, I am death. And we also see, like pretty early on in the book, a boy, a young kid, being kidnapped. And then we see like what he goes through with the person that took him, like all the torture really that he went through. And I mean, these books are always like very violent and very gory, and this one was no exception. But like usually, mostly it's like physical violence. And I mean, this one was no exception. There was definitely, physical violence, but I feel like there was also like a lot of psychological violence, not like more than in other books that we've seen. And honestly, that's in a way, like to read at least, is kind of, more traumatizing to go through. They're probably both as horrifying, but to read the psychological violence, for me personally at least, is kind of like worse. I'm not like complaining about it, it's just a fact. And we obviously see how the different victims are connected and to try to like get to who the killer is. And I did like the reveal. I didn't think he was like really that shocking, but I did like that, like that's what it was. And I definitely really love to have like Hunter and Garcia's dynamic back because like I said, I really missed it in the previous book. So I really love to have them working together again in this book. And yeah, I definitely really liked it. I didn't love it as much as the last couple books because, like, the last couple books, were like very close to 5 stars. There was just some like details that didn't make it 5 stars for me, but like they were very close to 5 stars. And this one is definitely a 4 star, which like is still very good. I still really enjoyed it. Like I was still hooked. Like I said, I read it in one day. I was still, obviously enjoying the book a lot to read it that fast, but yeah, I didn't love it like as much as the previous books, but I still really, really enjoyed it, obviously. And so yeah, I'm giving this one 4 stars, and we are gonna move on to the next book in the series, and I am gonna try to update either like halfway through or at some point that is not just the end of the book. So yeah, I'm gonna try to not just binge the whole book and just update once I'm done. Okay, so I am 68% into the book. I haven't finished it. I was able to update, I mean, not halfway through, but before finishing it, 68%. And this is, I think, the 8th book. And so in this one, we start following a girl who gets like a video call from her best friend, supposedly. But when she answers, you can only see like her best friend's eyes. And then like as the camera pans out, she sees like her face, and then she sees it like she's tied up. And there's someone like behind the phone that obviously she doesn't see who it is, and they also have like their voice distorted so she doesn't know what they sound like. And they tell her that they're gonna ask like 2 very simple questions, and if she answers them correctly, they'll let her friend go. And the first question is like very simple. She does answer it pretty fast. She knows the answer like immediately. But then the second question like could be considered easy by some people, but she doesn't actually know the answer to it. And so the person behind the phone kills her friend and like makes her watch it. And then that has happened to other people who like get a video call from either a friend or a spouse or something. And there is like someone there who asks 2 questions, and they always get the first one right, and they don't get the second one ever. And so they have to see what happens to their loved one. And it's always like a different method that is used. And obviously the police has gotten involved. They're investigating. And actually like one of the characters that has gotten a call, like he himself is very mysterious, and not really mysterious because we already kind of found out what he's connected to, but very interesting. And I'm very intrigued to see how that's going to end up, because let's just say that he also should be afraid of the police getting involved in his business. So that's also happening. So I'm interested to see where that's gonna go. But he also obviously wants to find out who killed like his loved one, even though he probably has the means to do it himself or like with the people that he knows. And yeah, so far I'm really liking it. I'm very intrigued. I have no idea who this person is or like why they're doing this in this way. And I mean, it's not like I'm never really actively trying to find out anything from thrillers. Like sometimes it just, comes to me quickly. Like, not that I'm trying to get it, just I get it. And other times I don't. And so far I don't, but I'm very intrigued. And yeah, I'm really liking it. It's definitely, as usual, very gory, very violent, very descriptive. And yeah, I'm having a really good time. I'm really, really intrigued. So yeah, I'm going to finish it, and I will be back with updates. Okay, so I have finished The Color and I am actually 48% into the next book. And to be honest, I don't really remember exactly where I was with The Color when I last talked to you. I think I was kind of halfway through, but I'm really not sure. But yeah, I finished that and I liked it. I definitely like really liked it, but like not as much as some others in the series. I mean, some of them have been like almost 5 stars, and this one definitely wasn't. But it was still like super fun, and I mean, I really liked the beginning, and I really like the ending, and the middle I still enjoyed, but like not, as much as some others. But I did really like the ending because it connected to that character that I think I mentioned that also has like a shady business, and I'm interested to see if like that will come up in later books because that would be really interesting. And so I really liked the ending, and overall I still obviously really liked it, and I think I'm gonna give that one 4 stars. So I am 48% into the next book, which is called Gallery of the Dead. And in this one there is like a victim, the first victim that is found, that was like found in their house, and like their feet and their hands were missing, and they had been skinned, and the whole scene was like strange because like if you look at the victim it looked like a very violent crime obviously, but if you looked at the scene it looked kind of like peaceful and like there had not been a fight there. And then the FBI actually gets involved because they have had like similar bodies, kind of not really like the similar bodies, but like they have had other bodies with like the same cause of death basically. And also like the killer leaves a sort of mark on the victims, so like they are pretty sure that all of those bodies are connected and that there is a serial killer that is like, getting victims in many different states. And I'm really liking it. I am very curious with this investigation. I'm really enjoying it. There's like something that's kind of bothering me because I feel like Garcia is acting like a bit out of character, or at least was in the beginning, which was weird, but I guess he's back to normal now. Not like out of character as in like it's suspicious, out of character as in like why would they make him act like that. But yeah, I'm really liking it. I am very curious, like I said. And yeah, I mean the crime scenes as usual in this book are very gory, and you're also actually getting chapters, I think, from the point of view of the killer. At least it's from the point of view of someone extremely creepy, so I assume it's the killer. And so yeah, that's also pretty interesting, and yeah, I'm liking it. I am very intrigued, and I am gonna finish it, and I will be back with my thoughts. Okay, so I have finished Gallery of the Dead, and I loved it. Like, it was very creepy, very gruesome, very gory, very disgusting sometimes. And I really like the investigation because we had like some other people helping with the investigation, and it was an interesting dynamic for sure, especially in the beginning. I mean, in the beginning was like interesting, not as fun, but then it became interesting, fun. And I did really like it. I really like the reveal. And I mean the like what exactly the killer was doing, I figured out like just a little before the investigators, but the rest I didn't. And yeah, I did really like it. And there was like a plot twist as well that I also figured out a bit before it happened, but it was definitely a cool plot twist that happened. And the ending was really cool because it connected to like a previous case, or like a previous book, a previous killer that they have caught. And I'm very excited to see where that goes. Hopefully it's gonna be in the next book. Very excited. That is, like, it sounds like it's gonna be a great book and I can't wait. But yeah, I really, really, really like this one, and I think I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars. And yeah, now on to the next one, which I think is called Hunting Evil, which makes a lot of sense, especially like with the book, the other book that it's related to. It also had evil in the title. So yeah, I am very excited for that, and I don't know exactly when I'm gonna update you, but I will update you at some point. Okay, so I have read the next book, the 10th book, which is called Hunting Evil, and I actually read the whole book without updating because that book was crazy. Like, I didn't want to stop reading it. It was like I was hooked from page one, and I knew that I would be. I think I mentioned this before, like starting to read it in my previous update, that I was so excited for this book because at the end of last one, we get like the hint of what this book is gonna be. And in this book, basically, they are like trying to catch a like killer from a previous book that they had already caught. And like I was so excited about it because that other book where this character was in was one of my favorites. It was the one that like I only didn't give 5 stars to because Garcia wasn't there and like I missed his dynamic with Hunter. Like everything else was like absolutely perfect, like so good. So it might have like been my favorite, except this one, because this one has definitely been my favorite. And so basically, like, that guy has escaped prison and he's like now toying with the police, playing games, but specifically with Hunter, because like they're both super smart, but he knows that he can like outsmart Hunter. So he's like playing games with him and make them trying to catch him and like giving them hints, but the hints can be like they can have different meanings. So they don't really get to the real meaning in time, and the longer they wait, the more people that guy will kill. And like this book was stressful, like in the best way possible. Like I was on the edge of my seat. I was so excited reading this book. I was hooked. And like there were so many things that happened that I was like, I literally was so worried about the characters. And it kind of like did ruin Hunter's life in a way. And like it was so good. It was so like thrilling. It was really, really thrilling. Not as much of a mystery as the other ones, but like very, very thrilling. Like I was, like I said, on the edge of my seat. I was so excited at this whole book. I was like, yeah, it was so good. And yeah, this one was definitely my favorite so far in the series. Absolutely loved every single second of reading this book, and I am giving it 5 stars. So yeah, that was that was great. I like absolutely loved it, everything about it. And yeah, that was book 10, and I have 3 more books to go, I think. Yeah, I think 3 more books. And actually, I know nothing about the next books. This was the only one that I knew like beforehand what it was about, because there was that hint in the end of the previous book. But the others, I always go into them like completely blind. And yeah, so I'm gonna go read book 11, and I will try to update halfway through if I'm not like too obsessed with it and need to finish it. I will try to update halfway through. And yeah, I'm still like just thinking about that book, I'm still like so excited. And yeah, I will read half of book 11, hopefully, and I will be back. Okay, so I actually have read the entire next book because I just had the audiobook on while I was drawing, and I like time got away from me. I didn't realize that I was like going through the book so fast, or like the audiobook so fast, and I just finished the book. So sorry, but I read book 11, which was called Written in Blood, and this one was like different in the sense that usually they will find like a victim or a few victims and they will investigate from that. But in this case, there is a woman that we start following in the beginning of the book. And usually like the character that we start following is the one that ends up becoming a victim. And I was expecting that to happen to her. But actually, she stole a bag from a guy that she saw at a bar, I think. And then when she got home, she opened the bag to see what she had taken. And there was actually like a notebook there. And in that notebook, there was description of like victims and how they were killed. And so she finds a way to anonymously deliver that to the police. And then that's like where they investigate from, because it's clear that that notebook used to belong to a serial killer. And that's like their starting point for this investigation. So that's why it's like so different. And we also continue to see that character, like that woman from the beginning, throughout the book, and she was definitely a very interesting character as well. And yeah, it was definitely different. And the reveal was of like who the killer was and like why they were doing it was also interesting, because like in the notebook the killer mentioned like the voices and like doing what the voices asked, and the voices asking for specific victims in like specific circumstances. So who like those voices were was also like an interesting reveal. And yeah, I did really like it, but it was not one of my favorites, because like I've only given 4 stars or above, and this one I think is one of the 4 stars, which again is obviously a great rating, but it wasn't one of the ones where I was just like on the edge of my seat, like so excited, so like into the story, like I couldn't wait to figure out what was happening. And I thought it was like brilliant and thrilling, and it wasn't that, but I still really enjoyed it. I did really like the investigation, and this different approach was definitely interesting as well. And obviously I love the characters, the 2 main characters that we follow, and I did like the investigation and the reveal and everything. I just didn't love it as much as some of the other books, but still 4 stars, obviously still a great rating. And yeah, that was book 11. And now book 12, I think, is called Genesis. And again, I will try to update halfway through. If I don't forget / don't realize I am over halfway through the book, I will try my best. Okay, so I read the next book, which was called Genesis, and actually the title ended up having a completely different meaning than I expected. But basically, in that book, we were following a killer who liked to make their victims scared before he even like got to them. And so he would, pick their victims, and he would text them and basically say things that like they would only know if they were watching the person. And so people were obviously like terrified. They thought that someone was in their house, and I mean they thought it correctly because someone was in their house. And they started talking about things that were currently happening. And so once they got their victims terrified, they would get them and kill them in horrible ways. And the first 2 people that they killed, we only saw like the aftermath. Like we saw the like scaring part, and then like the aftermath. We didn't see the process. And basically there was like a clue sort of there was something basically left written in all of the crime scenes, like with all of the victims. And, you know, obviously Hunter and Garcia were trying to figure out what it meant. And the third victim, we actually saw like everything. We saw the scaring part, we saw the torturing and killing part, and we obviously saw the aftermath as well. And they were all like done in different ways, and they all had different meanings, but also kind of the same because they were obviously all connected, like all of the victims. And I did figure out like how they were connected, or not really how the victims were connected exactly, but like how, or like who exactly the victims were. So I knew kind of like why they were being targeted, but not really the killer's entire motive, you know? So yeah, that was, as usual, pretty traumatizing. It was very descriptive. The way in which the killer did what they did was, for like the one that we did see, or I mean read, was very, like I said, descriptive, very gross, very gruesome. And I did really like the investigation. I continue to absolutely love Hunter and Garcia and like their dynamic with each other, the way that they investigate their friendship as well, because I think it actually starts when they are like hanging out together, like at a sort of party, like house party at Garcia's house. I think it was something like that. So that was really fun. I really like to see, you know, their moments of friendship. So yeah, I really liked it, and it was definitely like the end was pretty like stressful. It was very thrilling, and I did really like it. And when we got to learn like the killer's motives, it was, as it has been in a lot of these books, kind of traumatizing to like know the real reason why things were happening. So there was also that. And yeah, I think I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars because I did really like it, but it didn't give me, you know, the 5-star feeling. But, you know, I will give my final ratings at the end, but for now it is sounding like a 4.5 star. And yeah, that was the second to last book. And now we are gonna go into our final book of this series. I mean, I don't know if it's the actual final book. Like, I assume there are gonna be more books coming out eventually. But, you know, for now, out of all of the books that are released, it is the final book of the series, and it's called The Death Watcher. And so, yeah, I'm gonna read that, and I don't know if I will update halfway through, if I'll read the whole thing. We will figure out on my next update. Okay, so since this is the last book, I thought I would update halfway through, so I don't just update the books or like talk about the books once I finish them. And I am specifically 54% into The Death Watcher, and I am really liking it. And so in this one, we actually have a killer who like kidnaps their victims, and they keep them for days, for weeks, and after they are done, you know, torturing them and killing them, they make it seem like it was either an accident or a suicide. Like the first one we saw, they made it seem like he had been in an accident, like a car accident, like the person had been hit by a car. And the second one, they made it seem like it had been a suicide. And it was kind of like sheer luck that these people were, like, it was found out that it was, you know, actually a murder, because, you know, all of the obvious signs would point to either an accident or suicide. So it was kind of, you know, lucky that that was found out. And so since it was, you know, so lucky that these cases were found, Hunter and Garcia are wondering, and I mean, they're pretty sure that there are probably like more victims of this killer that were never found out, like they were just assumed to be accidents or suicides and were actually, you know, murders. And we always like spend some time with the victims before they are killed, like a couple chapters. But I feel like in this book specifically, we are spending more time like getting to know them. And I do actually enjoy that. I do like getting to know the people a little better. And we actually also spent like a few chapters with like a student, a medical examiner like student, because she was one of the people who found out about, well, one of the cases that it wasn't just an accident or a suicide. And so we actually spent also like quite a few chapters with her, which I also did enjoy. And it's not like, very thrilling, but I am quite enjoying that part as well. And now, like, towards the last part that I read, like towards the middle of the book, we have like figured out like a connection to like the victims, or like one victim specifically, like their past and like the way in which they were killed. So there's that, like progress is being made. And also there's like something else that I noticed, that like two of the victims have said, like when they were with the killer, like before they were kidnapped, like two of them kind of said the same thing. So I'm guessing that's important, but I don't really know why exactly, or like how exactly it is relevant, or like how that thing is the way that it is. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I like in this one we have seen like two victims, like two killings basically, and now we are like in the third victim that was kidnapped but is still alive. And I'm wondering if they will like figure it out while that person is still alive or not, but maybe not, because like we're only halfway through the book, so I assume that would be kind of too early for them to figure it out. But yeah, I'm really liking it. As always, very gruesome, very gory, but yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. I am very curious to see where it goes. I am very intrigued, and yeah, it's going well. It's going great. I am very excited, but also like I'm kind of sad that this is the last book, because I do love these books. I love this series. I love Hunter and I love Garcia, and I'm gonna miss them, because I mean I just read, well, when I finish this book I will have read 14 books in like a year, maybe less than a year, I'm not entirely sure, but like, on average is more than a book a month, and I will have no more books from the series with these characters to read. So it's kind of a bittersweet feeling, which I guess is the feeling I get when I finish most series, at least like series that I obviously really like. But yeah, I'm very excited, and I am gonna finish this last book, and I will be back with my final update and like my final ratings for these last 7 books. Okay, so I finished the Death Watcher, and it was so good. And obviously we continued following the investigation and learning like what the victims really had in common, and like how what they were going through was like how it was connected to their past. And one of the investigators actually got like in real trouble during the investigation, and it was stressful. Like I was on the edge of my seat. I was anxious, I was stressed, I was, really worried. And, once again, the reason as to why the killer was doing what they were doing was traumatizing and sad and horrible. But I really, really like this book. And the ending was actually really cute, because we got like a cute moment between Hunter and Garcia and like their boss. And yeah, I really, really, really liked it. And it didn't give me the 5-star feelings, but it was like really close, I would say, and I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. And I saw some like reviews saying that people didn't like like I mentioned that we spent more times with like the victims and also like with the students. But I actually, like I said, or I think I said at least, I actually enjoyed those moments that we spent with those people. Like it made the book a little slower in those phases, but I actually did really like it. And so yeah, I really liked everything. I really like the book as a whole. I'm sad that it's over, like the series is over. I assume there will be more books in the future, but for now it's over, and it's really sad that I will not be having any more of these books to read. And like I don't even know how long I will have to wait for book 14, because at least last time I checked, it wasn't like on Goodreads. It didn't even like appear. So yeah, I have no idea when it will come out, but yeah, I'm here with my final ratings for these last 7 books that I read for this series. So, I Am Death and The Caller I gave 4 stars. Gallery of the Dead I gave 4.5 stars. Hunting Evil I gave 5 stars, and this was the one that was connected to the book that was like in the first part of this video that I said that if Garcia had been in that book, it would have been 5 stars. Because like it had everything else to be 5 stars, it was just missing Garcia. And like this Hunting Evil was connected to that one, so it had everything plus Garcia in this case. So yeah, absolutely 5 stars. Then Written in Blood I gave 4 stars, Genesis I gave 4.5 stars, and The Death Watcher I also gave 4.5 stars. So yeah, I obviously love this series, which was already obvious in the first part of this video, but now we have even more evidence that I absolutely love the series because the books were all either 4 or 4.5 or even 1 5-star. So yeah, I absolutely love the series. I had a really good time with it, even though it was, like I said, sort of traumatizing, very gory, very gruesome, but yeah, that is exactly what I wanted from it, and it definitely delivered. And yeah, I will be eagerly waiting for more books to come out. And yeah, that is everything for this video. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you have enjoyed it. And if you did, give it a like and subscribe. And I will talk to you next time. Bye!